Wendy's about 5 foot and weighs about 90 pounds. And travels everywhere.
This one on?
Yep.
Tell me when you're ready.
We're ready.
All right, I'm giving it 15 more seconds just to be legit.
Yeah, we want to try to break the law here already. You anxious?
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order on April 9th, 2026, Pelican Preserve Advisory Committee. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we are going to do roll call, and I'm going to start with introducing our newbie, who's an oldie. Doug Zanter, welcome.
Thank you.
Yay.
I'm here.
And he's here too.
Marty Mantonfeld, present.
Tom Shaner, present.
Peggy Hall, present.
Ed Hedges, present.
John Berry, present.
Tricia Zimmerman, present.
We also have Chelsea in lieu of Laura. Yeah. All right, do we have public comments?
Signed up.
No one signed up. Let's move along. Marty?
I make a motion to approve items 5 Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and Echo.
I will second the motion.
Okay, moved by Marty, seconded by Tom. Any discussion for edits? Hearing none, call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed. Moving on to 6A, the financial report, February.
The driving and work and doing this at the same time. Minutes.
You're multitasking, that's what you're doing.
Any questions?
It,
This is still the unaudited amount, correct?
We
For
did,
February.
we just received the final audit.
Right.
It's the next.
Yeah, it's the next one,
Next
but
report.
I'm just clarifying that this
Yeah.
is,
The
Yeah.
carry forwards don't include the
Correct.
audited carry forwards from
Okay.
last year.
Right. Anybody have anything? It's pretty straightforward. I had mentioned to Doug this morning that I was so pleased that, he was coming on board with such a knowledge of all of the budgeting process so that we don't have to really bring him up to speed because he knows it. He taught me. So. All right, let's move on to the audit. And this I didn't get into all that much, so.
Final, I believe these are the final financials, audited financials. So sorry for the scrolling. I'm just trying to get to the very bottom.
So the last we heard from Laura, there wasn't anything substantial?
Correct. We passed with flying colors.
Good.
Obviously, you guys already know you're in good financial standing. The actual carry forward, Ed, you're probably more into the weeds on this than I am.
If you look at here, the landscape was underspent 160,000. So they will have 405,000 carry forward and change. Safety and security underspent their budget 192. So if you add that to their existing, they'll have 290 and change carry forward. And budget $80,000, which reduces his carry forward to 16.
But that 80,000, what we had said we were going to borrow 300.
Right.
So that number would have been 300 over had we borrowed them, had we did that.
Right.
Because at 884,
So we
the budget
avoided-
804 does not have the 300,000 in there.
So, yeah, so that was, it all works in our favor, correct? Okay.
So how does that work, or Ed or Chelsea? I mean, is it 80, does that get borrowed against reserves, or since all the other groups are under, nothing gets moved around?
You had a carry forward, Ponds had a carry forward from 24 of 97,000.
Right,
Then you overspent 80,000. So that reduces
Okay.
your carry forward to 16.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, but we'll put on the 2027 budget 300,000 because we intended to put that back into reserves, right?
But we didn't take it
Never
out.
spent it.
Never spent it.
26. This carry forward is from the 25. In 26, we budgeted 600 and we're borrowers, but we won't have to borrow the 326. Because once you find out how much it's actually going to cost, it'll be something
Right.
less than that.
It's,
And that will be,
So we're crossing over the years.
yeah.
so there was nothing needed out of the reserve, the real reserve.
But that would be this year.
We're still talking 25
Right.
budget year, not this year's. So,
Okay.
and I have a hard time keeping them straight sometimes.
The bottom line is we've got some carryover that we can use within our budgeting process this year that's going to soften the blow of several big ticket items that we might have. So,
And just to note on that safety and security, where theirs was underspent 192, 108, 110 of that was the payment for the removal of the streetlights that was going to get paid last year that didn't, that has to be journaled over to, or we have to make an adjustment to the 26 budget to account for that. So that'll actually reduce their carry forward, that 110,000, so.
this is a point in time. That's all you can look at it as. All right. Any other questions on this?
Chelsea, while you've got it up, I just want to point out to the people before we get in our budgeting that there are several places on here where the attorney, maybe it's a little higher, but there were some overages on attorney fees.
Yeah,
I'm
that's probably an
surprised we didn't
operational.
have-
Yeah.
But anyway, I think it was maybe up under the board or some was over on attorney's fees in a budget. And in some years, the attorney fees get charged to the individual subcommittees if they're working on something, but we don't budget it there. We budget the attorney fees at the Ppac operations.
So
level, so-
operational admin was the shared number between all three funds.
Yeah, but there's operations, go down
Yeah.
a little further there to the actual operations section.
And that, yeah,
Yeah.
and we have,
Have attorneys, that's where we have typically budgeted the attorney's fees for all the sub. So,
That's not over, is it?
that's under. The other one's over by $200.
Professional services fees, maybe you're talking about 30.
So operational admin is on our budget where we split when we used to do the 27, 14, 50, whatever, that is operational admin. So that is Pelican's proportionate share of that. Your operating expenses are your guys' own Pelican 002 funds. Okay?
where one of the attorney's lines was.
Yeah, this was over by two. Operational admin was over by,
Probably up at the board level, maybe where it was. Went over 7,000 there.
that is the proportionate shared cost.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Other comments, questions, clarifications needed? Thank you. All right, we'll move along now to the subcommittee reports. We'll start with 7 Alpha. Safety and security. Sorry. Do we have, let's just look at the reports that we've got here.
Jay couldn't make it, but if anybody has questions on his report, I might be able to answer them.
Now, we're still working through some removal and energizing.
Yeah.
All the new lights are energized.
They are.
They're current, and all the old lights have been turned off, and they're in the process of removing them. Turned off the lights. The Solero monument light went off, found out it was tied in, and they had its own little step-down transformer to go from 480 to 120 volts for lighting, but we got that fixed. Once all the poles are removed, there's some additional tree trimming to be done. Lighting the roadway better, and then hopefully everything will be done. All the FPL folks will be out of here by the end of the month, and
And
Shortly
the speed monitoring has been removed from the FPL poles.
I noticed that new poles were going in today with the speed monitoring on them, so that has been corrected.
Hey, Ed, have you heard anything? I've had multiple people mention to me they think the lighting is less than we had before. What would be your answer to that?
before you had this, we had 90-some bright moons
Yep.
along the road, and they made a lot of light right under the light and spread it around. These are much more directed to the roadway. And they're much more, and along the road, it's more consistent lighting.
Yeah.
There are some places, especially like south of the bridge and that, where there weren't hardly any lights and it was just very dark along the road. When you go from a dark area to a light area, problematic for night vision. And so it's much more uniform, much more directed to the roadway, the right of way, than to the surrounding neighborhood. Actually, Viadana, we were most concerned about because they actually face the road. I've asked a couple people there, and they're real pleased.
I know at my house, the bedroom faces the light down the street through, and it's not that, you really don't notice that light.
But the streets are well lit. mean,
I think
that-
they are.
And I would compliment the
Well, Ed,
team that's been doing it so far.
Marty, I get a lot of comments from dog walkers who say the lights are very good for the roadway, but those walking their dogs at night, the sidewalks are not lit.
Some of the tree trimming will help some of that, because some of the lights are still very blocked by the
Oak
tree.
trees.
So Ed, a question about the ones that are being removed, the old lamp posts that are being removed. I think they've been identified with ribbon around them.
Yeah.
There's a three-prong one at the corner of Pelican Preserve Boulevard and Cypress Grove. Is that going to stay there? That also is being removed, because that can be a really dark corner.
FPL does not put lights in the medians.
Oh, these are lights that are in the medians. They're original ones that are in the medians.
Patricia, do you think that corner's dark now? I mean, it was really dark, and particularly when that light would go out.
Right.
But do you
But
think
I
it's
we
dark
need-
now?
I think we need those three lights, but that's my opinion. But it's not
I
been
don't think
marked
it's
to
that
be
dark.
removed.
I
So
don't
are
think it's
those
that
also
dark.
going to be removed?
Pelican and Cypress,
Yeah.
It's the original light
That's
that
in the
was there.
the one that's in the median?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It wasn't original, we put it in,
yeah.
Oh,
not original.
so it is coming out.
Yes.
That's what I'm asking. Okay, coming out. All
Well,
right.
and I would say, if we live with it for a bit and we find any areas we feel are under illuminated, we can always go back to FPL and make a case. And that's, would say where we should
Lights, I
sit right
guess.
now.
You would add additional poles and lights, and they would evaluate that as part of the photometric. And that's not new to them, because when we were doing it on our side, in Gateway Greens, there was one area that we missed, that we didn't realize that there was another extra pole attached, and Eric scrambled and was able to get us another pole and fixture, and we just added it to the list.
But on that one, it was dark, Patricia, and so we put that one double head in the median, but in the FPL design, we put a light right
Oh, but yeah. okay.
across from that on the other side of Pelican, right at that intersection where there wasn't one.
Is it safe to say then that I think that Peggy also mentioned this morning, it's virtually completed as of
From a light standpoint.
from the
All
light
the new lights are
standpoint.
on, and the old
Right.
lights are off.
off. And so will there be disruption at all when they come in and take out those old poles? Should we just remind people that even though it's virtually completed, there's going to be some trucks in here and there will be some disruption to traffic, or do you think that's an
Yeah, I mean,
overstatement?
That's what they've been doing. They block off a lane of traffic while they're
Okay.
removing
It's
the
very
poles.
fast, though. I mean, it's literally a day or two.
Yeah, but
Pretty
still,
much done. I- Pretty
Very
much,
quick.
one side of Prado's got to be done, and I don't know if they go all the way down to Cypress.
I think we should say by
one
the end
side,
of this month, not March.
And they've done all of Prado.
Yeah, south of the bridge.
Pelican
Okay.
Service done.
So, yeah, maybe a little reminder that we're closing out, still pay attention. That'd be helpful.
It looks good, too.
Yeah, very good.
I have a bulletin I want to share with you all when we're done.
I did have a question about the mill and resurface bid. I know it came in extraordinarily over what we anticipated. What's our current status on that?
It's not the bid that came in over, it's the engineer's opinion of probable cost. And
Oh,
so
okay.
we ask for their, we call it EOPC, we ask for that prior to us putting it out. That way we have realistic expectations of what we anticipate to be coming in.
Okay.
Now, what they based that off of is a continuing services contract with Lee County. That continuing, and those numbers could be skewed because it might be for smaller projects rather than a large project like this. Regardless, we are going to proceed with putting this out to bid. We had to work through some design things between FTE's plans and Tetra Tech's plans. My goal is to get that out on the street next week.
And then 30 days past that for
Yeah.
open.
And then when the bids come in, it'll be an ITB, which is an invitation to bid. And ultimately, you go with the low bidder unless, there's qualification issues, whatever it may be. So we'll take that to the Safety and Security Subcommittee first, being it's their project, and then look for their recommendation, and then it'll come to you, and then to the Board of Supervisors. So if there is budget shortfalls, those considerations will have to be made once we receive actual bids. So, but we are drafting the scope of services in a sense that you'll be able to strategically select if you want to proceed with certain things. Okay? So,
So we can pick and choose aspects of it, is that what you're saying?
yes, so essentially, option A is the milling and paving from tree line to the Veneto intersection.
Okay.
Section B will be the bike lane project, the bike lane markings. And then option 3, or C, is the refresh of the entire community, of all lines. So you'll have the opportunity to look at those 3 different options. But by doing it this way, we're able to save mobilization and demobilization costs and award it, hopefully entice larger companies to bid on this, that we could get a better deal.
But we will not know those numbers for our next meeting.
No, you will not.
And so as we are finalizing our high water budget for June, we're just going to have to assume the worst, is that?
I would base it off of the EOPC.
Okay.
Chelsea, does the bike lane striping include the Prado Rotary?
Yes.
Yes,
Adjustment.
yes,
That
because
was-
that was,
A permit that we got at the same
Yes.
time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Question about the Wiser patrol vehicle discussion that happened. I guess we're thinking about having the GSCDD own the car and then it would be leased back to Wiser. At that meeting, there was a discussion about using a golf cart in the evening to go around. Maybe I misunderstood it. Was
I think
anybody
that
else-
was one of the contentions that they thought they might look at, but I don't believe that
I
came through in
would,
the end.
I would
We had a
think we
discussion.
It
should.
was one of the options that the committee looked at with Wiser, but a lot of concerns about just
Battery life.
travel and battery and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
And so going with the vehicle for,
And the thought was that the visibility on
Yeah.
a vehicle, especially if
Versus-
it's a little pickup, would be Great.
There's a lot more flashing lights on a vehicle than you can a golf
Oh,
cart.
yeah, so,
We can pinstripe it and we can put little mods on. Oh,
Put the broccoli trees on it.
Muffler.
Golf cart goes faster than a car.
Yeah.
So what prompted that conversation was Weiser said, hey, we have these added costs, is a golf cart, and this conversation goes back a year ago with safety and security. The alternative idea of us just purchasing a vehicle was a cost savings idea. We don't have to go with a pickup truck, we could go with a small car. I just thought a small pickup truck could be multi-purpose in the event that, post-hurricane, branch, yes.
If we bought a vehicle, would Pelican be able to use it in terms of an emergency?
Gateway would be able to use it, yes, as part of the Pelican.
Let's go, yes, so you have to, could you authorize the Pelican Preserve Emergency Response Team the usage of that vehicle after a hurricane?
Let me think on that, because we typically have to have motor vehicle records. Every single person has to be vetted. But the intent would be to lease that vehicle to Weiser, and then Weiser would be responsible for.
If there's a way, just because having particularly if you're going to end up with a pickup truck, having a pickup truck available to the emergency response team following a hurricane would be an advantage to the community.
of course, the Weiser team is gone.
Right, that's why.
Everybody is out of the community,
vehicle
so
would-
who would be able to drive it might be a question.
Well, that's why I'd say we'd have to work through the emergency response team and determine that and respond it to Chelsea's needs for a proper licensing and vetting. So, yeah, if it can be done, it'd be great.
Yeah, and that's something we can work through. Let me get back to you guys on that, because if that's, something as simple as having a volunteer waiver and a vehicle record search, and we have 2 designees, and maybe it's
That could be good,
the
yeah.
Ppac chair or safety and security chair or.
I've got a clean record. Yeah. Maxine had a comment.
Maxine Hansen from Trentino and Pelican. My question about the car, is that supposed to stay inside Pelican? I have seen it at Winn-Dixie, at Walgreens, and kind of around the town. Just wondering if it's supposed to stay in Pelican, or if it's whoever's driving it has carte blanche.
No, there's a boundary, right? So we have a,
So the fuel needs gas, right? So they got to go to a gas station. But as part of this lease contract that we've discussed with Weiser, one of the things that we talked about was putting a boundary on it. We do track all of our district vehicles, so I would note where it's at all times. Their speeding, their mileage, all that fun stuff. But we would put a limitation as to how far from the Pelican Preserve, a geofence, for lack of a better term, that they could go.
One thing, I know they were running into problems at one point about I don't know if it was the current vehicle or the one before, but just putting around Pelican was not good on it. They actually had to take it out and drive it
Run
at
it
a
out
higher
fast.
speed periodically just to kind of flush out all the engine and exhaust and all of that stuff because it was running into problems with it. But anyway.
Cece Haas from the Safety Committee. It was clearly defined when we voted to present this to this committee that there would be limitations, that this vehicle could not be, certainly it would have that little 5 mile or whatever boundary where it could go get gas or whatever, but it could not be reassigned off of our property, that it would always be assigned here at Pelican.
right, it would,
So it couldn't be repurposed by Gateway.
Someone has to get the donuts.
yeah, someone has to.
And
Thanks for volunteering, Marty.
going back to my thing about could the emergency response team, there is a liaison from the safety committee, PPCAC Safety Committee, to the Pelican Reserve Emergency Response Team. So we already have that, and Jennifer happens to be at this point. But just, if that can work out, Chelsea, it'd be
Yeah,
great.
I'll make note of it.
Thanks.
Follow up.
Thanks.
All right, any other comments on safety and security?
Is there a new emergency response team chair?
Not yet.
No.
Yeah, I haven't heard.
The board will be meeting next Tuesday to discuss chairmanships and Probably will end up being Carol, although I'm not sure.
All right, let's move along now to landscaping. And we have Mark Eversman in person. Da, da, da.
Mark Eversman, Chair of the Landscaping Subcommittee. The main projects we have going right now are the Camarillo Bridge. It was just painted, so we're going to re-landscape as that landscaping has gotten fairly tired, spindly, not looking good. So Cindy Watterson on the subcommittee has put together a proposal and we have sent it out. The other one is I've identified approximately 60 plants that I want to, most of them are just replacement for other plants that have failed and are no longer under warranty, that will just kind of clean things up throughout Pelican and adding a few extras as well. And last thing I wanted to just let everybody know, if you know what bromeliads are, you'll see them popping up mostly along Pelican Preserve Boulevard. Most of them have come from my yard. The last group that came out yesterday was from Larry and Kathy Dixon's, and they're the larger ones. So these cost us nothing except for a little time and a little blood, if you know what bromeliads do to you. So if they don't work out, which I like them obviously, but if it's determined that they're not appropriate, they're easy to take out. So
What is it again, Mark?
bromeliad.
Oh, bromeliad.
Anyway,
Oh, there, yeah, go ahead.
Like epiphyte, and the epiphyte bromeliad?
they are, not all of them, most of them. But,
Look at this, we can talk language, epiphyte. Yeah, they are.
questions on that?
What's the status on the 60 plants going in?
Okay, that was going to be my next topic is, in the past, when a need was identified, it would come to me. I would get proposals. I get proposals from Ameriscape and Great View. And the reason I go to those two, one, they're generally competitive from what I've seen from other landscapers. And two, give me a 1-year warranty, because they're the only two that can mess with our irrigation to make sure new plantings get watered. Other landscape companies say, I'll give you 60 days, but since I don't control the irrigation, I won't give you any warranty longer than that, which to me, so those are the two companies that I've elected to get the proposals from at this time. And generally, like I said, from what I've been getting, I've been pretty happy with the competitiveness. They know the other one is bidding, and it's been a pretty good process. Once I get that, I select the lower of the two and request a PO from the GSCDD. There's a form to fill out, what you want, how much, and why, etc. To get the proposals, it takes 2 to 3 weeks because they have to go out to their vendors and request costs, et cetera, et cetera. So that takes me 2 to 3 weeks. And then once you give them the approval, which they won't start until they get the PO issued from the GSCDD, that's cash as far as they're concerned. Then it takes them 2 or 3 weeks to get the material together and schedule the time to install. The reason that's so the last time I sent in request for a proposal, normally it's the next day I would see the POs issued. The last time I sent it in, I was asked for more information, which is fine. And then I was told that one would be approved to go ahead, but the next one they wanted my entire subcommittee to approve, which we didn't have a quorum last month. So then it was going to be 3 more weeks before we had a meeting this month, which is delaying the installation of the 60 plants I want to get in. I want to go up to Minnesota in less than a month now. So since I'm the only one that knows where they go, that's a little concern as far as timing. My other concern is last summer, the landscaping committee did not meet because we weren't going to have a quorum. But I was still able to get information, issue POs, and get things done in the community from Minnesota.
Mark, a question. Do you have like a limit? Like I used to when I was in business had, I could spend up to
At one
50,000
time,
or whatever.
I thought I had a $20,000 limit, which I never came close to the $20,000.
Okay.
But at this point, this is a new occurrence that a PO has been held up as far as that goes. So I guess my concern is that, one, I'm going to get up against the wall as far as being able to leave and get the plants placed that we've already got the proposal for. And two, when many of us are not here in the summer and we can't get a quorum, getting some things still done in the community. So I would like this group to consider if I could get a limit of $10,000 to issue POs at my discretion. There will always be a quote attached to them, and the invoice always comes in before the quote is paid. So that's a request from this group.
Any concerns from you on that?
Yes, we, and I know, I think this was an $8,000 quote.
Yep, the one for the bridge was.
Just making sure. We do have a policy and procedure on when you have to solicit for multiple quotes. 3 quotes is what we always try for. That a threshold should be placed. Right now, there is not one specifically in the resolution for the establishment of the subcommittees. We do have like an administrative policies and procedures that what threshold do you get? If you guys recall, $195,000 was the trigger for the proper bid solicitation. So we do have a policy, but that has not extended to the subcommittees because ultimately everybody answers to the board. So you guys can make a recommendation and tweak, and if you and or the Board of Supervisors wants to give that authority to a singular person, albeit the chair or somebody in their absence, that would have to be addressed as part of the resolution for the establishment of the subcommittees. So I know it's kind of been informal in the past where, like you've mentioned, Mark, I know you've done it, and I think some of the other committees have mentioned, Doug's mentioned at a regularly scheduled subcommittee meeting saying, hey, I've got this, I'm working on this, I'd like your approval to proceed, I don't have the pricing just yet. But considering the dollar amounts that we're pushing out, I think it's best that we proceed with setting an established dollar amount that, an individual person, no matter what, nobody can go over $30,000 because that's my threshold, unless it's an approved line item as part of the board. And that was a board policy. But if we want to have a smaller dollar amount that, the board and the subcommittees are comfortable giving to, a volunteer resident to have authority, I'm all for it.
If
Back
Mark
to your
is spending,
comment about the changing of the resolution, is that going to require time and effort, or could we do that, right now on the spot?
We all answer to the board, and
Right.
ultimately you're circumventing the subcommittee by directly giving Mark the authority, and the whole
Right.
point of the subcommittee is to have a group of folks, not saying that Mark isn't doing
Oh,
the
sure,
majority of the
yeah.
legwork, but that's the whole point of having this and having the public input in the subcommittees. It's your pot of money, you're more than welcome to circumvent that, but I would strongly recommend we're 2.5 more weeks until your next meeting, 3 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
this is Marty. So if he wants to spend money on an item that's already a line item in his budget, which has been approved by the Board of Supervisors, what's the problem if he wants to spend $10,000? It's already approved by the Board of Supervisors.
It's not a singular item. That is a group
But it's
of items.
but it's a line item in his budget that is approved.
That's how the board has operated.
So-
So like, let me give you an example. If we wanted to procure a golf cart, we have a golf cart listed in our singular line item budget. We go in front of the board we don't have to go in front of the board for their approval because it is to purchase, they've already approved the purchase of said golf cart. So.
What do we need to do right here as a group to recommend $10,000? I mean, do we just recommend it and then the Board of Supervisors have to vote on that? Or we can vote here as a group and that gives him the authority or any subcommittee the authority to spend $10,000, up to $10,000?
So you have 2 things going on. So what I would recommend is what's 2 more weeks for the subcommittee. That's the whole point of your subcommittees, is to give a group of folks, volunteers, the opportunity to weigh in and opine on these plans.
Can I ask another question then, Mark? Are you convinced you're going to have a quorum this time. I mean, that's,
I know.
Is
I mean,
Zoom-
that's the challenge that we've got when people go away.
So a call-in cannot vote?
You have to have physical quorum, and then the physical quorum can allow the call-in people, but you have to have a physical quorum. So,
You don't think you can get it in your quorum together? And
I don't know if I'll have a quorum this, I assume I will have a quorum this month. But even if I do, you're already pushing me to the
Right.
end.
No, I want you
But when
to
I'm
get
gonna
the
be here.
10,000 today, but
And I don't mean to blindside you with this, but again, I never ran into this before where I had a PO stopped and was asked to get.
So this is a problem with this subcommittee because in 2025, they had a quorum and met 3 times in 2025. January, February 25th and April 24th. They did not meet again until January 1st, January 22nd of 26. So there was an 8-month gap where they didn't meet because they wouldn't have had quorum because everybody.
Subcommittee?
Yeah.
No, we met everything but summer.
with quorums?
Well, I looked at meeting minutes and there's only meeting minutes for January, February and April.
I don't know, several
Mark,
people were
can-
there, so.
A little harder, are there individuals on the committee that are not performing their duties without names?
That's a fair question.
So in other words, a quorum is just a coincidence. It's not because people are not participating.
The one issue that we did have was one person on the subcommittee's husband was extremely ill, so she had trouble just getting away, period. And she has since been replaced. The main problem that we have now is snowbirds. And essentially, it's coming down to, I need everybody that's not a snowbird to show up and maybe one more who happens to be around for the summer. And last year was an anomaly. 2 people ended up with short notice doctor's appointments. One had surgery, spouse had surgery. Otherwise, I would have had a quorum last month.
So I guess my final question to Chelsea, what can we do now to get him the authorization to go forward with his project?
you can approve it. You can absolutely approve it. But again, I would strongly discourage that because that's not the point.
Setting a precedent, yeah.
Yes.
And we also have a precedent from history that says we have done this. So we're in this interim spot where I would feel comfortable approving it, setting the idea in motion that we were going to make a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors for 10,000. Do we feel like 10,000 is?
I'd like to make a
And
motion.
what if we had a second person on the committee also has to approve it? Instead of having all of them or a quorum, we just say, instead of just Mark, it's Mark plus Cindy or
They can't
one other
because
person.
then you're
Get together to talk
sunshine,
about it.
sunshine law.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
But we can let the subcommittee head have, let's just say $10,000, as long as the line item that goes in has the budget in there,
Yeah,
that I
I
would
feel
be,
comfortable with that.
So I want to make sure
I'd like to
we're,
make that motion that as long as it's a line item in the budget, that the chairman of the subcommittee can spend up to $10,000 with this board's approval.
be careful how you worded that, because that specific project is not a line item
Right.
in the budget.
but it's landscape.
Landscaping is in the budget. We took just being careful when you say line item, that item is not a line item.
So as long as the PO request is for something that has previously been budgeted,
Right.
and just leave it vague like that?
So here's what I would suggest.
Okay,
Pick a number.
10,000.
We'll work through that. We'll work through what that language looks like. Because obviously, I'd like to make sure we have conversations with the other committee chairs and see if that $10,000 number is sufficient, which I think it is. And I think that's,
Bonds.
Yeah,
I think
be
that's
100.
Well, Pond's got to have.
a reasonable request. And then that way, we need to go back and look at the policies and procedures that we have internally. And with regards to like 3 quotes and things like that, I think it's anything over, I think it might be 5 or 10,000, but I would say pick a number. If you want to action him to do that today, you have the authority to action him to do that today. An alternative would be to approve it contingent upon the subcommittee's approval, and if they don't meet, then you approve it anyway? That way you're
Then we
pushing,
still push it off a month.
So I have,
you're pushing it off 2 weeks, right? That's your next
I have
meeting?
two motion, two basic motions. One, I'd like to move to authorize the Landscape Committee, the chairman, the authority to go forward with an $8,000 proposal. However you want to word that, Mark. But I'm trying to give him the 8, and then I want a second motion that says recommend to the board that we'd like to have a $10,000 ability for all of our chairpersons.
Take one at a time.
Yeah, but Mark has,
So take Mark's first one.
Okay, this is Mark Eversman again. There's an $8,000 proposal, and that's for the Camarillo Bridge project that I discussed. And then there's a $4,400 one that has been sent to the GFCDD, and that's my plants throughout Pelican. That's the one I really need done sooner than later.
okay, that's the
that's
one
over
I want to
10,000.
authorize you the ability to do that now.
I just wanted to make sure that was
Okay.
in there
That
as
was a good
opposed to just the
clarification.
$8,000
Yeah.
one.
So what is the replacement plants PO cost?
I would have to look at the exact, it's around $4,400.
Okay, so we could say up to $5,000. Could you modify
I'm trying to
that?
be very specific so that everybody feels he's controlled right there. He's got a proposal for a specific task, and I want to authorize him the ability to go forward with that and commit the expense to that, which happens to be around 44.
Okay, so you made one, I
That
would
one,
just say one
right.
motion to authorize Mark to spend up to
5,000.
40, up to
Up to 5,000 on this
up to
specific
$5,000 to do plant replacement as it's currently in the budget in a conglomerate or whatever, however you want to say it.
What about my motion?
Oh,
Didn't get a second.
we did not,
You didn't ask for a second.
I did not ask for a second. Are you comfortable withdrawing your motion at this point?
You know,
Can you repeat your motion, Marty?
Right. I'd like to authorize the chairman of the landscape subcommittee to be able to spend up to $10,000 to cover line items in his pre-approved budget.
question before I would say, does that have to go to the board of supervisors to be approved?
Budget's already approved by the Board of Supervisors.
So you're not asking for an ongoing limit of 10,000 at this point?
Asking for him to be able to spend up to $10,000 if he wants to spend it on a light item that's already in his budget.
At any one time? Let me,
Well, is there a second for discussion first?
Okay. Is there a
Is-
second?
Second it.
Okay,
For
we've got
discussion.
Doug for a second. On to Marty's, correct? Okay. So I'm concerned about when you state the line item, because I don't know the correct wording for it, I'll be honest. I don't know how we would state it to say, you know, we've got a budget pool of money and it's within that parameter.
so let me make sure, this,
And my objection would just be not, whatever we do from an ongoing basis should apply to all the committees.
Yes,
Not
I
just
agree.
landscaping.
But I think that's the secondary one. That's the secondary one where we'd want to make sure
Well, I'd
that,
like to
No,
hear
it's-
from the other committees on how much they might need to spend, because I think ponds might need more money.
but this is not a matter of how much, let me make sure I understand. It's not a matter of how much money any particular committee needs. It's providing the chairperson of any specific subcommittee the ability to commit certain funds. And I do think you need a tighter limit on that. The 10,000 is reasonable to me, to all of them. Anything larger than that should have a full subcommittee endorsement and be brought forward.
I would like to hear from the other subcommittees before I make a motion on the other committees.
Well, okay. Then I-
I think we're looking for, this is Patricia, I think we're just looking for an ad hoc situation right now
Yes.
to deal with what is a time concern for a lot of reasons. The subcommittee members are not going to be present. The rainy season is about to start. We want to get the plants in. It's just, we really are dealing with a situation right now of a specific
Madam Chairman, I call the question.
concern, and I think we could go ahead and agree to that.
He is
First.
chair. He's responsible for his budget. Why don't we just give him the authority to spend up to 10K for something that's already in his budget?
So, Marty, just to make sure we're clarifying, and I kind of agree with Patricia, I think we're going to beat, we need to answer his immediate answer first. We're kind of getting ahead of the game here.
Yeah.
But even on that one, let's just say we have 10,000 and he has a $100,000 budget. Does that mean he can spend 10,000 without authority, spend 10,000 without authorities? So he never has to come back as a chairperson to get anybody's authority if he's only doing 10,000 at a time?
I would say that's correct.
Okay, just make a clarification on that.
All right, let's vote.
I call the question.
Let's vote.
Chelsea, would that have to go to the Board of Supervisors, or you have $30,000 type of authority, correct?
Yes.
So it wouldn't need, $10,000 would not need to go to the Board of Supervisors, but to you.
But you're changing the policy, and so the policy would go in front of the board.
Right, yes, it would have to go in front of the board.
Okay, let's,
Let him do his job.
yep, well, I think we're all in
Before we can
agreement
do
on that. Let's call the vote on whether or not, Marty, can you reread what he said, or I'm just trying to make sure,
You know how you're going to vote.
but I just want it to be clear. 10,
I would like to let the landscape subcommittee chair be able to spend up to $10,000 for something that's already in his budget for the year. Line item budget.
One time.
He did not say one time.
Marty,
He
would you
said
like to
line item.
cast the first?
Call the question. That's all.
I would say aye.
Aye. Doug?
Aye.
Nay.
Nay?
Aye.
Nay. Okay. So let's reframe the
Hold on.
question.
What was that?
It was 4 to 3.
4 to 3.
Yeah. Let's reframe the question a little tighter,
Yes.
or the motion, I should say.
Madam Chairman, in the interim, I'm sorry, but I would like to move to provide the chairman of the Landscape Committee the ability to spend up to $5,000 on a specifically requested project at this time.
I second it.
Second by Patricia. Any discussion?
I
Call
don't
the
think
vote.
that's giving him enough authority to do his job.
It's just this one-time need, Marty.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
one-time need.
and then we're going to bring up the other part.
We're
So,
going to fine tune the wording on the other one, and maybe it applies to all, maybe it doesn't.
okay, but what would you like to vote on this particular motion?
Nay.
Nay. Aye?
Aye.
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 Okay, that one passes,
Well, can you restate what it passed? 6 to 1?
6 to 1.
6 to 1. Yes, Marty being the
And they say.
nay
He just
sayer.
wanted his.
And we have to work on the wording.
Yep.
We agree, but we need to work on wording.
Yeah, it'll give me the one project that you should have.
So can we also direct staff to come up with a policy wording that would be appropriate to allow each of the subcommittee chairs to have a $10,000, up to $10,000 limit approval?
We can put that language in the prior resolution for the committees and bring that back to you for your review at the next meeting.
Okay,
And then if you approve, then we'll take it up to the board.
okay, appreciate that. All right. Sure.
Clarification. I get a lot of miscellaneous POs that come in, a pedestal goes out, and so Ameriscape needs I have that authority now to go ahead and approve that and have it go through.
I would say you're kind of in a limbo right now. And I would say, give us a month.
Have
Do you
always in
think
the
that's
past?
gonna,
Yeah, I've done them for over 3 years.
And I think,
Well, my concern is when these pedestals go out,
they
a
they
community
need
has no
attention?
irrigation. And you're telling the community to wait potentially a month before they're going to get irrigation again, so it can go through the process.
Mark, are you talking about as part of this FPL project, or are you talking about as its own separate standalone?
Either
Talking
one.
about Toro pedestals, right?
Either one. Like right now, Azura's pedestal is out because of the lighting project, disconnected another one some. And so I get a request and I'll issue a PO and Bentley will take care of it and everything goes on. But now you're telling me I shouldn't even do that without waiting a month for it to go through the process.
You have a line item in your budget for pedestal maintenance?
Irrigation.
Irrigation, all right, I'm good with that.
How do you reconcile
I'm
that
just
then,
wanting
Chelsea?
clarification as to what I can.
How do we, until we can get this policy change in place, how can they move forward with their normal working operations?
We've
Well,
never
and
had a
all-
problem with emergency stuff. Emergency things, we contact Chelsea. From the Ponds Group, we contact her and say this is an emergency situation or it's a safety issue and it needs to be done. And Chelsea's always
what we
worked
do.
through underneath her authority to get emergency things done. And
Can we
it's
count on
always
that
worked that way.
still?
Yes.
We can count on
Yeah.
that?
Okay, it's interesting, because I still issue the POs for those, or I don't issue the PO, I issue a PO request.
Correct.
But then goes in, so it's the exact same process.
Same process. We'll try to get more clarity for you. I realize it's pretty muddy right now, but I would say action as normal on the one that you've got, that we approved, and then for emergency basis.
I think each of the subcommittees gave the Public Works Director authority to like
Yes.
up to $1,000 for
Correct.
minus
Each
little
did-
things.
you did
Different, we
more.
did more. I
You
thought
did
we
more.
did 10.
Yeah, you guys did more, so.
So we got a couple of those things to fall back on as well.
But the difference I'm hearing, but this is Patricia, is that says he's been putting through purchase orders, and you're saying all you do is call in and say this is an emergency
If it is an emergency.
without a purchase order process.
They
No,
didn't
no.
process the purchase order.
They process we still do the same process. It's just that Chelsea, if it's an emergency, has authority to spend up to $30,000.
So this one kind of begs the question, is it emergency to put in 65 plants right away?
Right, that's true, but
And that's why we kind of went.
That's what he asked, apparently.
Okay. All right, do we
If you
feel
talk
like
to a
we,
landscaper, yes.
Thanks,
do you
Mark.
feel like your needs are met and you can move forward with the work you need to do?
The one project done,
Okay.
but I do have concerns going forward if nothing else changes, the potential delays that
We hear you.
lost.
We hear you.
So can we have the person that's assigned? Where all the shrubberies need to go for the bridge on Pelican Preserve? The places where only Mark knows where they're gonna go?
The bridge is Cindy Watterson's. That's the $8,000 project, and she will take that and she will do it all. She will meet with the landscaper and
She's
take care of
full-time.
that. This other one that you just approved for me, that's mine. And so I will take the landscaper around and show them where all the different plants go. And that's typically how a project is done. One person comes up with the project, and it's kind of like, they send it to me, as long as it's reasonable, okay, fine, go ahead. And then I count on them to go around with the landscaper and say, this is where.
Validate.
Unfortunately, I still do 80% of them.
So not to belabor this,
Okay.
but it is something to consider as part of having a landscape subcommittee. I know we stood it up as good intent, but obviously we've had some quorum issues. There's nothing that says that designated person the committee could go away and Ppac designates an individual.
I'm not advocating getting rid of the committee.
Run away,
Finally
Mark.
getting up and
Yeah.
I'm just
providing benefit. So I'm not advocating that, but requiring full committee buy-in can create a problem.
Yep. Okay.
Don't ask me to repeat the
when
motion again.
quorums are not met, that's the problem. The buy-in would be there if there were a quorum.
In this
Exactly.
case, even if forums are met, sometimes it's still a time constraint. So,
Well, and
Look at the meeting.
last comment, I promise. The intent of these subcommittees is to have it as a committee and input and bouncing ideas, because these are large investments into your community. So that was the big reason of the pushback, Mark. It wasn't personal. It was, hey, this is, a $8,000 investment, get buy-in from the committee.
Understood.
Point of order.
Point of order.
So can a Ppac member who attends a subcommittee meeting stand in for absent subcommittee?
No, we already asked that question. It was asked by a board member, and the answer is no.
Sad.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the ponds update. We've got our newly vetted Jim Latham. Welcome.
Latham, the vice chair. I get to follow Mark.
Yeah.
But I'm not asking for anything right now, so let's
I'd
see.
give you 10,000.
Don't make me eat my words. Okay, Pond 43, the bank restoration is basically complete. There's some minor things that need to be done. One strip of sod after the fact was added. It wasn't in the bid. It was done on prior ponds, so there's a difference of appearance. And with this additional piece of sod, it'll also help protect another 18 inches of the exposed bank. So it should go right down to the high water mark. And this was all within the budget, so there is no change in that.
What, was there an issue with either the initial look at the pond? Why wasn't this already factored in?
Okay, I wasn't aware that that last year's contractor took it on himself to add another row of sod in. And it does appear very nice. It's behind your house. He threw in some things that weren't in the bid. Came back and bit me in the butt.
Okay.
Well, now I know for hopefully next year's, this will be written into the bid process.
That was my question, is how did we end up with the disparity to start with? Okay.
So, that's it with the.
Jim, there was a lot of
existing.
concern about this contractor because they were so much cheaper than what we'd expected. Did everything work out okay?
Put them up to this.
No,
Okay, so when we selected,
Tell us.
you're enjoying this.
Yeah.
When we first came up with the proposed contractor, there was 4 people at the ponds meeting. It was a split decision on who to go with. I couldn't have a split decision. We had to have a recommendation to come here. And based on Chelsea's recommendation, she felt very confident that she had the ability to hold her recommended contractor to fulfill the terms. I changed my
She's got a
vote.
big club.
I changed my vote and it became a 3-to-1 for MRI. You guys approved it. It went to the Board of Supervisors. They approved it. Also, there was a discussion because there was a concern about a $200 and some thousand lower than the next 2 bids. So, which was one of the reasons why I was very concerned. I could say that my concerns were probably justified at the time. I was proven wrong. The contractor we used did a very good job. He was very responsive. The people in the neighborhood, I'm on the Carina board, so I hear about it, they were all impressed. They felt that it was a very well-run job, safe job site, nice people working there. So overall, I'm very pleased with how it worked, and with the savings that it brought us. This was something that we had planned on, if need be, borrowing $300,000 from the following year's ponds to do. And as it works out, we don't need to go to that, just so it came under. So Thank you, Chelsea.
Well, and honestly, I have to commend Jim. He, and the contractor commended him as well, because having that resident liaison is a true game changer in how we interact and how we were successful in this project. And they're still in, substantial, we're approaching final completion because they've got to irrigate the grass for 30 days. But ultimately, we'll have additional cost savings because not all of the contingency was used. So well-run project. Jim, Paul as well. I know we had a little bit of hiccup with the access points and the abutting resident, but we're going to continue to monitor that, and they know.
It was all addressed very well. We had one resident that had the right of way. Wasn't all that enthused with us, doing what we needed to do to get the job done. They came up with alternative ways to try to work with the person and to save some of his landscaping, and they did. It's back in. Time will tell if it survives.
Is there a person that we can recognize with the Board of Supervisors for doing this outstanding work?
Paul and Jim, truthfully. I was a fly on the wall. They ran this project. They did an excellent job.
Paul did a great job interacting with the homeowner.
Can we make that
It's a
recommendation
far
to the
cry
Board of
from the one pond
Supervisors?
with the speed
Sending on a
hump and-
revised report today. I'll
Still
put
getting
that in
over
there.
that. So that's it with the current pond. We have a pending job, finishing off some drainage system work behind Ravenna. These are the last two in Ravenna. I had done a pond walk back there, and there was getting to be big ruts going into the pond, identified that this was something that really needed to be done. The builder's system was very inadequate. Doug took that on, and we have that. The last two were scheduled to be done in June. I do have some littorals. I'm pending a quote. A number of ponds are sparse or there is none. So if there's no future bank restoration scheduled, or if it doesn't appear that it's going to be needing that, I'm looking to have that added in. But when I get that, I will be working through. Hopefully I won't have another Mark moment here. And then the only other thing we have is I'm getting a meeting with Extreme Divers, getting some estimates for the street drain system to get it scoped. That's a 4-year, it's a recurring thing. So we want to make sure that we keep an eye on our infrastructure so everything drains properly as we approach the hurricane season.
I have one technical question, so if your first bullet talks about Pond 43 being completed,
Yes.
your fourth bullet talks about initiating bank restoration on 43.
It's
Oh,
21.
I'm sorry, that should be 21.
Okay, thank you.
That's the pond
Now-
between Bellagio and Bella Vista.
Right.
That was part of the correction I was making.
We'll be discussing that at our ponds meeting next week. Moving forward, then it'll come here. We'll be looking to move forward with that. Once I know I have the approval to do it, then I would reach out to both of those communities. Mark is already aware of it. So they can inform any homeowners that they're doing any work behind their house bordering a pond. Don't wait until they do sod work until we're done, so they don't go through. Again, I don't want to inform them other than Mark, because Mark understands the process, but I don't want to tell people in advance because I don't have, formal approval yet.
Thank you.
Well, I think most of those homes that you're talking about have plantings behind their lanai that are within the LME.
Well, but we don't bother with anything. That was 2 years ago's battles. Haven't had any issues with this. It was the same thing with this pond. There's some very close lanais, and they're able to get around,
Thank you.
If we had to bring in massive equipment,
That'd
we
be
can
another
take it
story.
out, but
Yeah.
we don't want to tick off the homeowners or any others.
All right, let's move on into 8 Alpha. Patricia, would you like to talk about what you've got on your plate?
Oh, well, I did put together with the help of Jim this morning, and knowing what's been going on with the FPL project, a bulletin to go out. to just tell everybody in the community where we are on these two projects. So I'm going to pass this around because I didn't get it done in time to get it onto a report. And if you have any comments about this, let me know, because I think it's important to tell people the status of the FPL conversion and the Pond 43 work. It's just, everybody got one? Okay. So, yeah. You're waiting for your comments on this, and then I'll get it to Randy and to Chelsea for their review. That is basically what's on the plate, other than anything you all want to report. I would like to, for the record, congratulate Peggy Hall for being the volunteer person, the greatest volunteer person for governance this year. She's well-deserved. And I'd like to give my condolences to Tom Shaner for being elected to the board of Pelican Preserve Community Association, but we are glad you're going to stay with us as well.
That will be a liaison.
I appreciate that. All right, well, thank you.
Doug, on the Pond 43, are we at a point where we could actually say that we came in a certain amount under budget? I mean, it might be good to highlight that in
the
here,
communication.
in the communication.
I basically had the comments, at a cost far below the budgeted amount.
Putting some
you wanna
quantification to that might be
Yeah. that's-
advantageous. I
could go one of two ways.
yeah.
Yes, I
The
think
bids were atrocious,
I
or,
worry about
wow,
it.
you
You
saved a lot of
can't-
money.
Yeah.
You
Or
can't,
why are we doing this?
or why are we not able to budget more accurately? That's the other
be
problem.
careful with that, because every time you put a number out there in Pelican Reserve,
I think it's better
you get
left the
shot
way
at.
that,
I don't care, good or bad.
Yep, that's fair.
Okay.
to me, that's one of those wins and successes that we don't highlight.
Particularly when people don't understand the budgets, that this is why is Ppac doing, or why didn't PPCA announce it? So you got to be so careful when you're talking
You could
budgets.
try to do it one time and see what the feedback is.
I wouldn't recommend it. I would not recommend it.
Would you like to highlight that?
Okay, let's bring it back. Yeah, I just basically, so the one question I have is people will now need to know who to go to at FPL to make any kind of.
They're online.
Online.
Okay,
You
so
report 'em
I think
online.
it's important to put it in a bulletin. I don't know what that information is, if anybody could provide that.
FPL.com.
And
Seriously, go to fpl.com.
Report an
Google,
outage.
Report an
Google,
outage.
FPL.
Gotta have the poll number.
You need to tell them what they need. You also might,
Got a phone number, that's their,
Randy can help you with that.
you just need to, or the address.
remember, they have a
You just Google
45-day
FPL
allowance to fix it.
street light outage. It's the first link that pops up.
Okay,
And
good.
basically, it's any light outside of town center is now an FPL. Yeah, pretty much every,
Not the neighborhoods.
Neighborhoods are
neighborhoods
FPL.
are
They're
FPL.
already FPL.
They're already
Oh,
FPL.
got it, okay.
Yeah, everything.
Okay.
Patricia, with the community association's communication person leaving, do we anticipate any issues?
Well, it's really important. We heard this morning that they have a replacement already lined up, and there will be an overlap between Adriana and this person. And I imagine that Adriana will explain to her what her responsibility is to review our bulletins and get them out.
So, yeah.
But maybe you can say something to that, Perry, about the new president and the new situation.
Dragon PPCA. The replacement for Adriana is supposed to start on the 20th and will be there for 10 days or so, being trained and brought up to speed on whatever Adriana's been working on. So hopefully that'll lead to a smooth transition.
And then the other part of that is that Faye Formoso, as president, used to look at them and approve them before they went out. Would that be something that we could ask you to do as a member of the board, or would it have to be Dave Hamilton?
To do what?
The
When we,
communications.
the process in place is we would put together bulletins, we would send it to Faye as president of the PPCA and ask her to review it and approve the fact that it would go out via the communications channel there.
Yeah, I would send those to Dave, and then he'll forward them as necessary.
And we could talk about that perhaps, Perry, at whether it needs to be Dave or whether you or I could do it because we're here. I could do it as the
Dave will-
liaison.
We'll decide
Right,
whether to forward
right,
it to
right.
somebody else or.
Yes.
I want to make it just him to decide who, and then we don't have to go down some
Well,
chain
Yeah.
to
He
get it out.
can't,
So
Perry
thank you.
can't decide, David would have to make that decision.
It's been running very smoothly, and I appreciate the work that Adriana has done and also Faye and on our behalf, so.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's move along. And we should be on, what's our, I don't have,
Budget.
oh, the budget discussion, which is always fun.
This is Ed. I mean, we do have the subcommittees' proposed budgets in here. What we don't have are our budget lines, especially in the operating. And I would propose that for the high watermark budget, that we just utilize the 26 budget numbers for the 27 in those various line items.
Because we just don't know. Does that sound reasonable? Yeah, okay.
Most of them are here. The two big ones are the attorney fees, which I mentioned earlier, that we basically budget here for any attorney's fees that might come to there or any of the subcommittees. And then there's engineering fees. That may be a little overkill because now most of the engineering fees are incorporated in the other budgets. But for the high water mark, I would just leave it the way it is.
That works for me because we can't, until we get more numbers, we can't really do anything. And I would like to commend each of the subcommittees for the work that they have done prior to this. They started early and they really did make sure that they were covering their bases of what was needed, as well as keeping an eye on the bottom line.
So there's not really any more numbers that you're going to get from staff, truthfully. I mean, other than our operational admin stuff that we normally do, but these numbers, to my knowledge, were provided by all your subcommittees. So this is going to be with tweaking what Ed just suggested in the committee, it seems like is all in agreement to just move the 26 numbers to 27 and keep them status quo. This will be what the board sees as the first draft version of the budget at their May workshop.
Right.
So I just want to
Can
be,
you go to the ponds, though? I'd like to
The
look at,
landscape.
I'd like to look
I have
specifically
a
at
question on
ponds.
safety and security when you're
Okay,
done.
we'll get there too. So ponds, I just want to make sure that we've got it set up for the big pond for next
that's
year.
going to be
So
150,000.
on 21, okay.
I don't see that. What page is that on? Operating expenses, safety and
Oh,
security,
yeah.
Now,
Yeah, up on your
so on
screen.
your screen,
Keep
it's highlighted there.
waterway management.
Keep going, one more. Bleeds into a second page, there you go.
She's using the
But we
650.
don't know is if we,
I know, I keep going to do that and I.
Go up, down, tell me.
so that you're budgeting 650 for next year. What we don't know, I got to sit and think where we're at with the shenanigans, the borrowing money and how we came in, where that is and what we're looking to do here. But for the high water mark, we're probably okay. I mean,
Wouldn't that come
because
out
we
of
can always
reserves, though?
reduce this.
Some of, Jim, what percent was coming out of that 650? Was it like 300? You
Out of
were
reserves?
out of reserves?
It would be, if we had a 300, I'm sorry. Bonds Committee. The assumption was a base amount was about $300,000. We were hoping to see a $100,000 transfer of landscape excess funds and a $300,000 potential loan from the following year that we would pay back
have a
and
fair
not do any work the
ballot
following
year,
year,
yeah.
similar to what we were anticipating this year. So that would provide me with the okay,
Are you talking 26 or 27?
this is for 27.
Okay, 26, you budgeted 600, but the assessment was only charged 300. We were going to borrow 300 from capital reserves. How much are we going to actually have to borrow from capital reserves for
For 2026, nothing.
Okay, so you did the whole project for under 300,000?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I've never seen where you're at on that.
Clarification on that, yes,
Right,
sorry.
okay. So now we're looking to do the same thing in 27 where
Correct.
you'd fund 300,000 from assessments and borrow 350 from reserves, capital reserves?
Yes.
But for purposes of high water, you're choosing to put it as a full assessment.
Right, that's, right.
Yeah.
Then we can figure out where we're,
Marty, you wanted safety and security?
Safety and security, so where do we include the cost of the car?
So
Is
that
that
would,
in the one line item for security services?
that's, my understanding is that's at least back and comes in on that line item to Wiser.
It's right there, 16,440 per vehicle.
Did we pull that out separately and
we can line item that separately unless the committee chooses to acquire that this year.
I get real, the more we specifically line things out, the more
It's not really a
trouble we
crunch.
get into when we
It's-
go over one and under.
If anything, so I believe that should fall under capital. And ultimately, if the committee wanted to procure it this year, they could, and then it doesn't even hit your budget next year. I think we were talking like 25,000 or something like
Yeah,
that.
26.
Buy it, outright buy it?
Yeah, but they're talking about procuring
She
one.
said something
A
about
used truck at that price.
It would, so to
get a good price?
part of it would be offset because you're going to have a net reduction on the Wiser contract. But for the actual procurement, yeah, it's got to be budgeted. It would be here in this capital, which in essence comes from your O&M. So you just have to tell us what pot of money you want to take it from. So it'll show up.
Well, it still shows up in our O2.
Yeah.
budget.
So it would show up somewhere in your safety and security budget. It would probably be capital
Capital
out. I'm sure we have a vehicle line item.
Yeah, I would feel more comfortable doing that just because then we could know that we've got it as a capital item
Okay.
versus under Wiser as a whole.
So
Well, then it would
and
be
we'll
a-
see that capital item every 8 years?
Yeah, it would stay in there and we would, on our timeline, 8 years from now, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
You amortize the cost of what off over the 8 years?
Pardon?
Will you amortize the cost away over 8 years?
Yes, that is what they said.
And it may extend beyond that, but
Or less?
yeah.
The car breaks down.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else have a comment on? Doug, you're good with yours?
Jim's, yes.
Jim, you're good with yours? All right.
And just to point out, in the safety and security, the new item, the pressure washing, that's for a one-time in October, November, before season, to do all the sidewalks, all the valley gutters, all that, on the
27,
boulevards
October 27.
in 27.
Okay, so we're
And that's the contracted price and not
Year and a
using the
half away.
swirly, right?
year and a half
Because we
away.
can't operate the swirly. We don't have the capability.
This year. 27 budget, October, November, early December of this year.
Oh, when's
So it
20?
won't hit this year's budget.
It won't hit this year's budget. it'll hit the
But it'll be
27
done
budget.
this October,
Done this
November.
October.
Okay.
Yes, we know.
Not if you're from England.
All right, any other comments on what we
That's
would be
French
doing at
pressure,
this
right?
point?
Sure.
So,
All right, let's move on then. Let's go to landscape.
Oh,
Oh.
Chelsea, just, and at the bottom, there are a couple line items that need to come over to, right at the very bottom.
Of what category here? Other?
The other,
Yeah.
yeah. They're-
So-
Those, the big ones go away, but the two smaller ones, I think, transfer over to the.
Yes. Got it. So is the committee in agreement that all lines, all other than the large two capital ones at the bottom, move to 27? I'm hearing nods.
Do we want to call it as a vote, or are you okay with just seeing us
I'm
nod?
okay. if
Okay.
Everybody's in
Yeah,
agreement.
let's move forward with that.
Okay.
What was the difference in
Do you have any comments about the capital, which those have been
no tax
incorporated?
increase?
So this was the only other thing that came up that I don't, it's kind of an oddball. What I would suggest is, I know it's preliminary and we haven't even seen conceptual designs yet, but if you say yes, I mean, we're only talking high water right now. If you say, yes, you love this concept and you want to start design on it, you have to have the design funds. Now, you could choose to assess that, or you can wait, you can sit on it, you can pull from reserves, you have options. But if you think you're going to take action on it, it needs to be put into the budget.
I can't see us taking action on it next year, but
I'm not in favor of it.
Why can't we get an evaluation on how to do a second monument with landscaping as opposed to a hard structure?
The landscape architect is going to bring you a couple conceptual designs, and you can give that feedback as part of those ideas. Because I have told him everything is on the table.
yeah, I think that's fair.
Within reason, considering long-term operational costs. Because I, from what I'm understanding, is that has been a concern from everybody, so. Okay, so then we will remove the $250,000.
Is everyone okay with that? I
entrance
mean, I
monuments.
was,
This year,
Totally.
yeah,
27.
for 27, let's push it.
We'll push it to the
Push
28?
it to 28, let's have the conversation again.
And the factor of that has always been the ability or non-ability to sell those two monuments out of tree line.
Yep,
Correct.
that
Got
would
it.
change everything.
That was where we thought.
Yep.
And we do have that 40,000. And engineering in our operating expense for 27.
Yeah, we're not hamstringing ourselves, we're just pacing ourselves. Yeah, okay.
So a little feedback is, I'm on another committee where I go around the community,
Okay.
and I can't find anybody that has an issue with the entranceway and the monuments out there.
Something that we'll have to have a conversation about.
Certainly not a high priority.
No. I don't disagree, but I don't disagree. Yeah, okay.
I think we should have 3,000. Pelicans.
Okay, so let's move on to item 8, Charlie.
So this is a very brief update. Basically, they've gotten the files, some of the line work from RWA, and so they're starting to put it together. At your next meeting, you'll have a couple concepts presented to you, and he will come in and do a dog and pony show.
Aw, I'm not going to be here next month.
Got to change your schedule.
My son's turning 40.
Oh,
He gets priority.
Youngster.
I know, he's a puppy.
I've actually found the drawings of the existing monument,
Ooh, that could be helpful.
the outfit in Miami or Tampa or Naples that did it.
feel free to share those if you'd like. Feel free to share those if you'd like.
They're-
Oh, I don't want them. I'm just kidding.
All right,
We'll send them to get
No, I mean,
scanned.
there's only like 6 sheets, but they're.
We can send them to get scanned.
so let's move on to 8, Delta. We've got people nosing around, but no bites. So Our bobber is ticking, but it's not going under the water. A fishing analogy.
Maybe we should do a $5,000 price reduction and see if that stimulates any.
I don't think that would make a huge difference to this kind of project.
We still listed that at what?
2.4,
2.5, give or take?
2 point. I think it was like 2.4 or something, yeah. It was over 2.
I mean, Aldi's doesn't want to put up a big sign on their corners.
How long is our realtor?
1 year.
1 year.
We're what, 3 months, 4 months into it, so.
Did a realtor ever say anything about the price?
They came up with it.
No, no, nothing really on the price. They haven't said, they haven't come to me and said, hey, you might want to consider reducing this, or hey, we've gotten a bite. But, you know,
So
it's just quiet right now.
Living there.
Ah, he's getting it for free.
Maybe he would buy it.
Yeah, I'm sure. All right,
Patricia, I wanted to comment, as we all know, that Aldi is taking over Winn-Dixie at the end of this month. If anybody needs food before then, you got to get in there fast because their shelves are just.
they're just
There
bare.
are no BOGOs. Who goes to Winn-Dixie if you don't have a BOGO?
Yeah, true.
So it's interesting that Aldi is going to be changing the whole look and feel of that area, and maybe we should talk to them about buying that piece of property.
It's 2 stores.
Because it's possible that something
Well,
in
I've been
there
in
could go
touch.
in there.
It's 2 stores that'll go into that space, right?
Yeah.
At Aldi's and Five Below. It will change the complexion of the community.
On my other board hat, I have been in touch with the realtor that develops that property, and there has not been any groundbreaking on the charging station nor the coffee shop that's been approved for there.
There was some movement on
The permitting,
permitting I saw when I was perusing the city's
yeah,
stuff.
it did say permitting.
what happened to,
It is big.
was supposed to go in there too, I think.
God knows, yeah.
Taco Bell was supposed to go in next to the tire shop too, but there's been nothing. on
Taco
that.
Bell and coffee, that ought to be
Okay,
interesting.
let's move on now to item 9, staff update.
Really, right this time of year, we're kind of up to our heads with projects, wrapping projects up, starting new projects, budget. I will let you know that Stephanie McLean, our stormwater environmental technician,
The redhead.
yep, the redhead, did give notice. So we're actively trying to backfill that position. Doesn't necessarily impact you all directly, but just more of a situational awareness, because I know she was handling the pond standards. So we wish her the best on her future endeavors, but if you know anybody looking for a job and loves ponds, let us know. Or
Yep.
or anybody who wants to come out of retirement.
We are out of retirement.
All right, let's go on to item 10, member item report. We'll start, Patricia, with you. Did you have anything?
Nothing else, no?
Okay.
Chelsea, a few weeks ago, I put in a C-click fix on irrigation meter. There, on the PPCA parcel, I was trying to identify the irrigation in Matarita 2 around there. And on the parcel that's to the east of the monument, PPCA is getting billed for a 2-inch irrigation meter. And Paul and I went out and looked, because I couldn't believe everything else is the standard meter. And that parcel actually has 2 irrigation meters. The 2-inch that PPCA is getting billed for, and then the other one that I assume Ppac is getting billed for, which is a standard irrigation, but it has the irrigation valve there. So it's the one that Ppac, I believe the one that Ppac is paying for is actually irrigating the PPCA parcel. And the 2-inch that PPCA is paying for is actually runs out to Prado Boulevard and does the irrigation on Prado Boulevard. And I thought, but I haven't heard anything from that, so I don't know if anybody's looked into that or if they can get that swapped around and
Angelo
fixed.
did, Bill and Angelo did mention that to me yesterday. And so I've got to sit down with him, and I was going to sit down and go through the C-Click fix and say, okay, let's coordinate with Ameriscape and go turn the things on and see what's what. And if we need to do a meter,
Swap the
Swap.
billing.
yeah, swap the billing, we
Yeah.
can do that, so.
I was trying to make sure who was paying for what on some of those parcels, and Laura couldn't tell me which ones were Ppac was paying for, because that's it. There aren't bills generated for those. I guess it's just some sort of journal transfer, but she didn't have access to tell me which one Ppac is actually paying for, but
Okay. Yep.
anyway,
You
I
submitted,
just hadn't heard anything for.
you
several
submitted a
weeks.
C-Click fix?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll get, not tomorrow.
I have one question. I know around the new year, we were dealing with several residents that were unhappy with people fishing on the flowway, and we had asked for some clarification on flowway regulations. We have some people who are very much bad-mouthing everything that's going on with that. So we need to have some actions to clarify so that we can go back to these people and say, this is what's allowed, this is what's not allowed. Either they're going to be happy or not happy, one of the two, but at least we'll have clarified.
That's incorporated in the pond standards.
It's not, though. It doesn't speak to flowway.
Did they get it?
Well, this committee voted down having Fish and Wildlife come into the community, so.
But, I mean, the pond standard says for the ponds within the purview. It does not speak to the flowway.
Okay.
And
We
the
can
flowway-
talk offline about that because
Will you stick
it's
around
up for
that, too?
interpretation because how you access the flowway, how you access these areas is really how it's written. If you can access it from a public road or public area,
Right.
you know, you can only go to the pond at that public area. If you live behind that house and you want to fish in that, that's how it's written. Ultimately, if you have any comments on it, I would say bring it up at the pond subcommittee because it's going back to the pond subcommittee and then it's going back in front of the board.
Yeah, we talked about it when the board reviewed it. I brought it up and brought several of the issues up, and it was going to go back, and now I haven't heard anything
Yeah,
more
it's
since
back.
then.
It went to the board. The board had some additional comments, and so now it's going back to the pond subcommittee
Okay.
at their next meeting.
Okay. All right. Well, I just want to have some action on it because,
Like
yeah.
a sharp stick in the eye, huh?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Tom, do you have anything?
Nothing.
Doug? Mr.
I just
Manager.
have a concern that we let Mark down since he's going to be leaving pretty soon for his summer hiatus. And I feel we really constrained him on doing his job remotely and his inability to spend up to $10,000. So I'm just.
And we will work to rectify that as quickly as we can. Staff will take it and we'll get going on it as soon as we can. All right. Next meeting, May 14th. I will be in Wisconsin at my son's birthday party. So anybody else planning on not being here?
Should be here.
Okay, I am here this summer. We're not renting nor.
It is imperative, if you have not made a decision on this budget at your next meeting and your recommendation to the board, at least for the high water mark, because there is very limited time in between that and June 15th.
Yep, we understand that.
Chelsea, I will be here.
Good or bad?
All right. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Didn't I always get voted down anyway?
That's usually Marty's